what do you primarily, or have you primarily used it for? For me, it's always been more of an escapism, and I think of it potentially as a substitute because I don't have chronic ailments. I think of it as a substitute for pot or for alcohol or other substances there that maybe have overwhelming empirical evidence to back that they're not in the slightest good for you. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very comprehensive. I love it. So to begin with, I'll acknowledge what I began using it for, or how I saw it affect me, how some of my patterns changed over time with it, as well as get into some of the different health implications of it and societal implications. So when I began smoking, as I said in that intro, it was really because I recognized that there was a lot of experiences I had yet to have. And after that kind of, life before your eyes thing, I felt it prudent to go ahead, dip my toes in, because in my family, there was a history genetically of alcoholism. I just say genetically because that's a trait that you can pass down, and it's hit different people on a similar tree that they've all dealt with alcoholism, or several people. And so that made me always weary of even really touching alcohol because I knew it was in my blood, the propensity to develop alcoholism.
Do you still have the aversion with alcohol?
That's not the reason, but it's mainly health reasons. Like I have seen damn near zero studies of alcohol ever being helpful for anything. If we're not talking about wine and people talking about how it can help you cardiovascular state,
but I mean,
in terms of
drinking,
liquor,
drinking, we're more so talking about spirits. We're not talking about a glass of red wine that's been aged for how many years? Like
organic vineyards, all this other stuff where it's like, cool, the Italians, these other people, yes, a glass a day, they've seen it have effects similar to that of dark chocolates and whatnot. But it's more so because I just know through and through, alcohol has zero beneficial value health-wise from what I've come across, what I've seen, and I don't really like the taste, and it's expensive. It's just, and I had far greater, easier access to flower, and I'd had positive experiences with it, so I'm like, I don't need to pivot for the sake of pivoting. I don't hold drinking against anybody. There are certain drinks that I enjoy, like margaritas. Some may say that's a woman's drink, fine by me, but I like what I like. Yeah. So what I recognized in terms of the impact was it made me, it softened me in a good way, not in like the, impotence way, but it made me.
No ED? We have talked about that before. Count your chemicals, not your carbs.
Funny enough, it has been shown that even though flower can help with ED, if people are overly dependent, and I think from what I've seen, it has more to do with the respiratory inhalation of it, that actually can lead to ED with certain people because they become dependent on the flower for sexual performance in a similar effect as Viagra. And funny story, maybe this is TMI, the first time I smoked, I got a crazy erection, like immediately. It lasted for hours, and people looking at me weird, and I was just like gyrating, and I was like, yo, this shit is crazy, just like activating my root chakra or something. But what I found it to be useful for is it took the edge off. In a similar way that some people drink, for years I had a temper issue, right? And a lot of people who know me now may probably never see that side, but I could just go from 0 to 1 and fucking throttle you in seconds. And that's actually why I started playing football. And so I still had a bit of that edge that I carried with me where I was just a little bit uptight at all times.
To really pop at any moment?
Yeah, or I would just be unnecessarily rough with my demeanor when I didn't need to be. And I recognized, or I found that with the flower, it just eased me. It made me more lighthearted. It made me more easygoing in a way that took zero effort. And once I was in that state, only then could I appreciate how rough or sharp or militant, as my mother used to say, my energy could be prior. I was never like a mean person, but I could be very, short with people, very pointed, whatever. So that was one of the differences that I noticed.